Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the Miguron Nagain. This thing's an absolute beast of a pocket knife. Overall length is 8.02 inches long. It has a 3.5 inch clip point blade of Bowler M390 stainless steel. This particular version has a DLC coating on this compound ground blade. You have some jimping up top that is nice and functional, and you do have a well executed sharpening choil. You should have a good bit of sharpening life, probably where my fingernail is, before you have to worry about that widening on you. We have blade windows on both sides. We'll talk about that later. You have a top swedge for some flare up there. You have a super robust tip there, so you should be able to do some maybe light prying, boring into stuff. It should be perfectly fine. This monster right here has a 1/4 inch blade stock. However, with this compound ground blade, you have a nice deep hollow grind here, and they still managed to get the hollow down to around 20 thousandths behind the edge. Now this flat ground portion to the tip thickens up rather quickly to around 27 thousandths behind the edge. I'm super pumped to see how this one performs. Let's find out. I'll be honest, I did not expect this one to perform all that great. I mean, it's a 1/4 inch blade stock, but it just goes to show you with deep enough hollow grind, majority of the things you're gonna be able to cut well, especially if it comes nice and sharp and the edge bevel is not super obtuse. And this one is definitely comes down to a decent thinness. Now when it comes to more dense, double triple wall cardboard, it might struggle a little bit depending on if it catches the full thickness of that 1/4 inch blade stock. But yeah, so far so good. We'll see how it fares with the rest. Now, being that these scales are as thick as they are, it fills out the hand really, really well. And that heft of that blade, it feels like I can get so much power behind this cut. And I'm hogging off. I know you don't see this, but my wife came in and I'm throwing wood everywhere. This is the kitchen I'm doing this in. So yeah, she wasn't too happy. But once again, this belly is going to be great for cutting on a flat cutting surface, and that heft, like I said just a second ago, makes it even easier to push through the material. It's super sharp up there in the front, in that belly section as well, so this is making sharp work of this 1/2 inch thistle rope. The edge got the perfect amount of bite to it, and it kind of reminds me of the Arma that I tested. That one did really well too. That was a flat grind, but the section I'm cutting on right now is a flat grind too. So yeah, both of them definitely shocked me. I know a lot of people see that super thick stock and you're like, oh, that's a paperweight. It's not always the case. The only knife I ever tested that I can recall right now that is basically a paperweight is the PMP Knives Alpha Beast, just because behind the edge is like 36,000 or something, I don't know, some crazy number, and that thing is the thickest knife I own. So it did not fare too well whenever I tested it or did some testing with it. Being that you have a higher tip, using that belly is just going to be the easiest thing to do instead of trying to drag that tip through at a 90-degree angle. Now, it did struggle a little bit on the tubing, but I think it's more so the DLC. And then it did struggle a little bit. It did a little splitting on that dense corner cardboard. But other than that, man, it did fantastic. And this one was a lot of fun to test. I'm always excited whenever I get proved wrong in my head. I gotta be honest, I didn't expect it to perform as good as it did, but it surprised me. I mean, really, the only time you'll ever see that extra thickness come into play is whenever you have very dense materials that maybe collapse onto the sidewalls of the knife, but the actual apex is what's doing the cutting, and that hollow still slices pretty darn well. Now, maybe if I was slicing into some triple wall cardboard, that may become an issue. During the test, the only times I really saw any extra resistance was in the dense corner cardboard and in that tubing, because it does kind of collapse on the sidewalls of the knife. The DLC finish also causes a little bit of drag on the tubing as well. But other than that, it's not just an overbuilt beast, it's an actual functional knife here. The ergos were nice and comfortable because you have nice thick slabs of tie right there that fill out the hand very nicely. This variant with the DLC blade has a gray PVD coated tie frame. I think it's PVD coated. And this one also has the inlays of carbon fiber on this side. On this side, it's just milled out sections. I found the hammer grip and the saber grip to be the most comfortable. The pull grip right here is okay, but this does kind of stick into the side of your hand right there, but you can definitely get some cuts done like that. The reverse gas station knife fight grip is also very comfortable because you have this flat spot to rest your thumb, and you have this choil area that acts as a guard so you don't accidentally slide up onto the blade. Now let's close it up, take a look at the action on this one. So you have this blade window on both sides, and it functions flawlessly because you have enough of a step there and they didn't knock off that edge. So great purchase underneath there, and those ceramic cage bearings give it a nice silky smooth action along with the heft of that 1/4 inch blade. If you want to slow roll it, you can use that front window. If you want to thumb flick it, you can do that as well. Or if you want to grab the window and do a drop down, you could also do that. But excellent action for such a big knife. They did a great job of dialing that detent to where you got a nice positive click here, and you don't have to worry about it coming flopping out on you. That's one reason why I like this long blade window, so I can put my fingernail at the bottom right there, and even though you have a little bit extra stout detent, you can easily reverse flick it and thumb flick it. Now let's take a look at the handle area. We just talked about it a little bit, but besides the inlays of carbon fiber on this side, you have the Miguron logoed pivot that's flush with the scales. Big old T8 Torx fasteners there, and your pivot is a nice large T15 Torx head. Check that massive stop pin out on this one. You have tons of milling here. You got here. You got these milled spots there. Deep chamfers going all the way around. You have a titanium backspacer with a gear pattern there. It sits pretty flush with the scales, and you could probably fit a baby pinky in there. Now I can touch that blade if I want to, but as long as it's in the pocket up against the side of your pocket, you shouldn't have to worry about that. I mean, I can rub my hand like this and I'm not cutting myself. For anybody concerned, I'll try to give you a close-up. So there's the edge right there. It is buried fairly deep in there, but you got this wide open gap because of how thick the blade stock is. Here's a nice macro of those contoured carbon fiber inlays there. I think it's a nice little touch. And there's your backspacer and the other side. You have a 3D milled titanium pocket clip. However, it is tip upright, hand carry only. Just like pretty much every knife I've reviewed here lately. I don't know what the deal is. Just look at that. That's kind of comical. Your blade centering will come up here. It's either right down the pipe or very close to it. Your lockup is sitting at around, I'd say 40%, maybe 30-40%. You do have a hardened stainless steel lock insert. That's what's contacting underneath that tang. And your access to the lock bar is fantastic because this comes down a little bit lower. Plus you have such a wide opening in here with chamfers on both sides. So I can easily get my thumb in there. Absolutely no issues there. And the lockup on this thing, man, oh man. Just like on the Arma I reviewed, this thing is a bank vault. You can also claw that if you want. And if you look inside here, they removed as much material as they possibly could in there. Look at that. And they did a good job because, like I said, you have a 1/4 inch blade stock. So I think they still kept this at a reasonable weight at 6.75 ounces. Not a featherweight by any means, but it's carryable. Quick size comparisons. It's a little smaller than the Miguron Arma, and it's very similar in overall length to the Riot T1000, I think it is. And it's in the middle of the Ontario Rat 1 and 2. Also in the middle, the Spyderco PM2 and Power 3. And lastly, it's just a hair shorter than the Hogue Ritter RSK, and it's pretty much identical in length to the Spyderco Manix 2. Now, being that absolutely no nice perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? First off, there's no lefty love here, and if I'm going to be nitpicky, I wish they would have done these carbon fiber inlays on this side. I wish they would have also put them on this side. Also, even though this one performed great, I wish they would go back to the S90V. I prefer that one a lot more. But other than that, if none of that stuff I talked about is a deal breaker, then yes, I can recommend this one. This version with the DLC M390 blade and the carbon fiber inlays, this one comes in at $270. Do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. You got a 1/4-inch chunk of M390, big old massive slabs of tie. You got beautiful action, comfortable. I think it's a good looking knife, a compound ground blade. It has a hand satin underneath that DLC. Yeah, when it comes to the hard use knife from Miguron, I absolutely love the Arma and I love the Nagain. I will be honest, the Nagain is a lot easier for me to carry. It's a little bit more compact in the pocket and it's a little bit lighter than the Arma is. I love the Arma. I love the Arma's blade shape, but this thing's massive and it's a good bit more weighty than the Nagain, but absolutely love both of these. Love the micro milling here and I love the inlays here. So, love to hear y'all thoughts on the Miguron Nagain. Do you like stuff like this or do you like things that are a little bit more practical for EDC? You know, sometimes it doesn't have to be the most practical knife. This one will definitely get the job done. Plus, if you need to use it harder than you would, say, a normal EDC knife, you could definitely do that. You know, we did that with the Arma. We beat on this thing and it did outstanding. Only reason I didn't beat on this one is because this right here is a hollow, and even though I'm sure it can take it, I didn't want to test it. I've done enough stupid stuff with my knives already. But yeah. That's going to do it for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. And like I said, if you're interested in this one, I will have it linked down below in the description. All right, guys and girls, I hope every one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep those blades sharp, smile more,